The new controversial Champions League is around the corner, and it's time to give my predictions. But before I do, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment of what you guys think about my predictions. At the bottom of the barrel, I have 4 teams, all predicted to get 0 points. And those are Bratislava, Strom Graz, Sparta Prague, and Crvena Zvezda. All these teams do not have enough European or top European experience. They don't have the players, they don't have the managers, they don't have what it takes to push up the league or get points. I think they're all going to struggle and just end up at the bottom. In 32nd place, I have Bologna. Bologna had an incredible season last year, but they gotten rid of everybody that got them there. They got rid of Xerxes, Calafiori, their manager, Thiago Motta, which is going to be a big hit for them. They have to revamp the team once again, which I don't think they'll be able to before the Champions League starts and they start getting steamrolled by the teams that they got drawn against. Next up, we got Celtic in 31st place. Every time I see Celtic in the Champions League, they are so bad. They don't do what they're predicted to do. And it's been like this for a while. I don't see them getting many points, around maybe 3 points, winning a game. That's about it. Maybe against Bratislava. Next up, we have Young Boys. I see them in a very similar position to Celtic, which is having one easy game in Crvena Zvezda, who they beat last year in the Champions League. And then Young Boys and Celtic actually drew against each other. They're playing against each other. And I see a draw there, so I'm predicting them to end similar positions in the league. Next up is GNK Dinamo, another team I don't know much about, but they did get Bratislava, which is like the easy game, free 3 points basically. And they also got Celtic, who I'm not impressed with, as I said, and I think they'll beat them. So I think they'll get 6 points there, push them above the other 2 teams. Next up is Shakhtar, the first team that I actually watched games of. Shakhtar last year in the Champions League actually got 9 points, which was pretty good for them, but I don't think they'll be able to do it in this Champions League. They got Young Boys, which is 3 points in my opinion. Bologna, I think another 3 points, and then potentially another point from Brest they could get, but that's not going to fit them any further, and they will also be eliminated. Next up is Monaco, who are in 5th place right now in Ligue 1. They got a couple players in Balogun, Minamino, and Bolo, but I don't think it's enough with the teams they got drawn against. I think they can get points from Crvena Zvezda and Dinamo, and as well as potentially some points from Bologna, but I don't see them beating any of the other teams to push themselves higher up. 27th place is the max for me. Next up is Brest, another French team. I see them in a similar boat to Monaco, just with less quality players. They got easy games with Strom Graz, Sparta Prague, should be 6 points there, and then maybe some points from Shakhtar. But yeah, similar standing for them, and they'll just get 26th place. And the last team to get an automatic elimination is another French club in Lille. Lille have a couple good players, Jonathan David. They got Mbappe's brother, but like I don't think that's enough to get them through. They'll barely miss advancing to the playoffs. The teams they got were pretty hard. The only easy game or 2 games that are pretty easy is Strom Graz and Bologna. Then they got Sporting CP and Feyenoord. They're going to have to work hard to get some points from them. So I don't see them qualifying. They just miss out in 25th place. In 24th place, we have Club Brugge. Club Brugge is currently in 3rd place in the Belgian league. Last year, they made it to the semifinals in the Europa Conference League. And now they're in the Champions League. They have some easy games in Celtic and Strom Graz, and then I can see them getting a potential like draw from Aston Villa and even Sporting pushed them a little bit above the rest of the teams and barely scraping 24th place. Next up in 23rd place is Feyenoord. Feyenoord are not looking too good right now. They're in 8th place in the Eredivisie. That could potentially be because of the Arne Slot leaving. Gonna have to refine the team, revamp it again. But I still think they kept a lot of their core players. I think they can potentially get points against the likes of Benfica, maybe an upset win there. They could possibly get draws from Salzburg and Girona, and I believe they can beat Lille and Sparta Prague. So with all that taken into consideration, they have potential to get around like 10 points. So I think that can push them above the line, the threshold, and get them in 23rd place. In 22nd place, I have Girona. Last year they had a great season, surprising everyone. And now in this season, they're in 5th place after 4 games, which is pretty good for them. Even though they released a lot of their core players, I don't know how to say his name, Dovbyk, their Ukrainian striker. They didn't sign Savinho. He went to City. Kuto, I think his name was. He went to Dortmund. So a lot of their core players left, but they got in some players back as well. So they're not falling off far from what they did last season. They also kept their manager. I really thought he was gonna get a move since he did really good with the team, but they kept him, which is really good. I really thought Girona was gonna fall out, but from what I've seen, I don't think they will. They're a well-run team, and I see them making it to the playoffs. Next up, we have Salzburg, the Austrian team. Right now, they're in 4th place in their league, but that's because they have 1 game less, and if they win that one, which is against last place, they'll be in 1st place. So basically, they're in 1st place. And with these Red Bull teams, I feel like you don't really know what's going on with them if you don't watch the team, but they always have players that are going to be the next big thing. They always have players that they build up and then sell off and then repeat. It's their formula, really, to staying relevant and competing in these teams, in these competitions. Salzburg also has easy games in Dinamo, Brest, and Sparta Prague. I see 9 points there, and then potentially another draw from Feyenoord, which will get them 10, and that pushes them up to 21st place for me. Next up is Stuttgart, which last season they got 2nd place in the Bundesliga, which nobody talks about for some reason, because Leverkusen got that undefeated season last year. But now they're sitting in 14th place after 2 games, which is, it's 2 games. Can't go crazy after that. But 14th place is not good for them. They did lose a couple players. Ito is one of them. Went to Bayern. They're going to have to do a little bit of revamping. I do think that Stuttgart got really lucky in the draws. They got young boys, Crvena Zvezda, Sparta Prague, and S. Bratislava. All easy games, 3 points. It should be 3 points for them. That pushes them to 12th. So I think Stuttgart has basically a guaranteed playoff spot because of those games. Next up is Benfica. Right now they're sitting in 7th place after 4 games, which is not too good, but I have faith in them that they can turn it around. They did lose some key players in João Neves, Rafa, David Neres. It's going to take some time for Bruno Lage to find his team. He did just get appointed 2 days ago, which is crazy. He's gonna have a hard time doing it, but I have faith in him. And they also still have some key old but leaders in the team, in Angel Di Maria and Otamendi. They also have some players around them with Renato Sanchez, Amdouni, who got signed on loan, Antonio Silva. So I have faith in them that they can push towards playoffs. Next up is possibly the first shock, and I think that's Leipzig. Leipzig just have a hard draw. I feel like in order to push up a little bit more, you have to win like a pot against a pot 2 team or a pot 1 team, and their pot 2 teams are pretty hard. Atletico, I think Atletico is going to do great. I'll just say that. And then Juve as well. At home, potentially a draw there. Juve has been pretty good. And then they have Aston Villa as well, which another hard game. And then their pot 3 teams are easy, and Sturm Graz is easy. So that's 9 points that they'll get, I think, guaranteed. But then where else are they going to get the points? It's kind of hard for me to say. They do have they kept a lot of their players. Xavi Simons, Openda, Sesko. They have a lot of players. They still have their core. They did really lose Dani Olmo, which was a big loss for them, I'd say, and Simakan to Al Nassr. But they'll make playoffs. That's what is expected of them. But I don't think they'll get as high as they think they'll get. Next up is Sporting, who won last year's league in Portugal, and now they're again at the top of the league with 12 points. They are looking pretty dangerous, demolishing teams. Gukares being at the front of that with 7 goals already. They also have other players around him with Marcus Edwards, Pedro Goncalves, Hume, the Danish guy, and then they have center back pairing of Diomande and Ignacio. They have a well-rounded team, and they're looking pretty dangerous. I see them getting some points against Sturm Graz, Bruges, Bologna, Lille, potentially PSV, and I think that pushes them pretty high up. 17th place for me. Next up is Aston Villa, the last pot 4 team that I need to talk about. Aston Villa are looking pretty good right now. The only thing that is a little bit off is Watkins, in my opinion. He's not scoring, but they have a good backup in Duran. I also think that Unai Emery is going to take a lot of, or put more focus into the Champions League, since he likes European competitions. So I feel like they're going to do more than what's expected of them. So I think they're going to push all the way to 16th place. In 15th place, we have PSV. PSV right now in the Eredivisie are looking incredible. They got 4 wins out of 4, scoring 18 goals in those 4 games. They have great players in Pepe, Bakayoko, Veerman. They also got Tillman, I think, officially. So I think PSV could potentially do even better than what I have them, based on their performances and their draws. They got Crvena Zvezda, Girona, Brest, Shakhtar, and then Sporting. I think they're all games that they could win, and I think it's looking good for PSV. I think it's 15th place for me. Next up, we have Milan in 14th place. In their league in the Serie A, they're sitting in 14th place, which is what I predicted. So they're not doing too good. They've drawn twice, lost once, potentially due to the manager's tactics. Not too sure. Francesca, not too sure of the guy. They got some new signings: Fofana, Abraham, Pavlovic, Royal, Morata. Out of those, I only see Fofana really being a good signing. And they have a lot of the core players still. They have Leao, Hernandez, Magnon. So I don't know why they're struggling this much. They shouldn't be. I have faith that they're going to turn it around eventually. And I also have them pretty high up because of their draws. Next up, I have Atalanta, who right now aren't looking too hot. They're in 12th place in the Serie A. Last year, they did pretty good. They got, 4th place, really good actually. I think it's going to take some time to come back to it. I have faith in their manager. I'll get to him in a little bit. But their team hasn't changed much, really. They got De Cataler officially. They officially signed him off the loan. They still have Lookman. They still have Ederson. They have Skamaka. They still have those players. They then got Zanioli as well, Retegui, who I don't rate at all, not gonna lie. And then the big departure is Cooper Miners, which is a big loss for them, crucial player for them. But I think Gasperini will turn it around and find some form. I rate him so highly now because of what he did in the Europa League, beating Liverpool, who I hate, and stopping Leverkusen winning that treble, which I didn't want them to win. So I have faith in Atalanta. I think they'll turn it around off this bad start they had, and 13th place is what I have them. Next up, I have Juventus. Juventus right now are in second place, neck and neck with Inter, along with two other teams, but they're doing pretty good. New manager in Thiago Motta. He's gotten so many players in: Nico Gonzalez, Thuram, Koop Miners, Douglas Luiz. So that midfield is really strong and really deep now. There's a lot of people in the midfield now. They already had McKennie, Locatelli, Fagioli. They had a lot of players already, and now they have 3 top players now. So, but we haven't gotten to see them all play together. They still have Vlahovic, Bremer. So I think they'll do good, but I don't think they'll have a perfect start to their Champions League run. Their games are pretty easy. They do have Leipzig, which I think they could get some points from. Maybe it's away, so maybe a draw. They got Benfica, Bruges, Stuttgart, Lille. I mean, they have some easy games. Maybe Aston Villa away, maybe hard for them a little bit. PSV at home, potentially another easy game. So, I mean, for me, they could be reaching potentially top 8, but I think they miss out, and I'm going to put them in 12th. Next up is Inter Milan. They are currently at the top of their league, and last year they won the Scudetto. So really good form from them. They made 2 notable signings in Fratesi and Zielinski, and they kept a lot of their core. Like, nobody left. They have everybody: Thuram, Lautaro Martinez, Barella, Chanlangalu, the Turkish guy, Bastoni. They have everybody, really. And they have Inzaghi, who is a great manager, has proven it year after year. I really like what he does. But I don't think they'll edge top 8. Leipzig, who at home at the San Siro, so I think they could get that as well. But the other 3 teams, I don't see them beating or getting draws from, so I feel like they'll miss out barely of getting the top 8. In 9th place, I have PSG. So PSG right now in Ligue 1 are at the top with 3 games played, and in those 3 games they have scored 13 goals. So they're looking pretty good. In my opinion, releasing Mbappe was the best thing to do. He needed to get out. I don't think Mbappe is good for just locker room morale. I don't know. I don't like him. And him leaving is going to leave windows for younger players to show their worth. And I think Barcola is one of those guys. Barcola is going to have a great Champions League session or campaign, in my opinion. Desiree Doué, they got him from Rennes. I think they're or Rennes or whatever, however you say it. I think he's also going to have a good season. Their draws have been easy as well. They got easy games. They're pot 3 and pot 4 teams. Their draws, the teams they have gotten, are easy. Pot 3 and pot 4 should be easy for them, but their pot 2 and pot 1 teams are very hard. I think they got possibly the 2 hardest pot 2 teams in Atletico and Arsenal, and then they got City and Bayern. So, I mean, 12 points guaranteed, but I feel like they could get some points. I'm not sure. Maybe they're a little too high for me, but that's where I have them for right now. 10th place. Next up, in 9th place and missing out guaranteed qualification is Arsenal. So Arsenal are doing pretty good right now. They do have 1 draw, and that's against Brighton, but that's due to the controversial red card that Rice got. They made some signings in Mikel Merino, which they needed, like an 8 um, um, player, like a player in the 8 spot. Calafiori. They got Sterling on a loan. The only thing they're really missing is a backup for Saka, which if Saka gets injured, they're kind of cooked. Their draws, or the teams they got, are pretty easy. The only two hard ones are Paris and Inter. And then I could see them slipping up against Sporting CP and Atalanta. Both games are away. Both those teams could potentially upset Arsenal and make them miss guaranteed top 8, which is guaranteed advancement. Next up, we have Leverkusen. Leverkusen right now are not doing well. Well, they played 2 games and they're in 8th place. They won 1, lost 1, and that loss was against Leipzig in like the last minute, basically. So can't really take that into consideration. What we can take into consideration is that they didn't lose any core players. From what I know of, they kept Ta, Hincapie, Tapsoba, Grimaldo, Frimpong, Xhaka, Andrick. I mean, the list goes on. And they have Xabi Alonso, who was like gonna go to Liverpool, but he ended up not. I think they're gonna have another great season against potentially winning the Bundesliga once again. Their draws, the teams they got, are easy as well. The only teams I really see them struggling against is Liverpool, Atleti, and Inter. Potentially a draw somewhere in there, but I think Leverkusen is gonna have another great season, and I think they're gonna automatically qualify for the round of 16. Next up is Dortmund, in 7th place. Right now they're in, what is it? Well, it doesn't really matter. They only played 2 games. They lost 1 and they drawed 1. And they only really got rid of Fulkrug, which I guess you can say is a big miss, but he was getting older. Right now it looks in West Ham he's not even starting, so I don't know what's going on there. They kept a lot of their players as well. But the big thing to talk about is Sahin coming in. New manager, haven't seen him, what he can do. Don't know why they got rid of the other guy. The other guy was pretty good. I don't know his name, but he was really good. It's making me put Dortmund so high up is their draws. The teams they got from pot 2 to pot 4, easy. Should be straightforward for them. The only hard thing or hard teams they got was pot 1 teams, which was Barca and Madrid. Just missing out on that 6 points, 18 points. I think that's guaranteed top 8 and guaranteed round of 16 for Dortmund. In 6th place, I have Bayern, who are in 2nd place right now with 2 wins, which can't take that into consideration. But it is Company, who new manager, don't really know if he's the right guy, but he's got two wins out of 2, so it's good for him. He's made some signings in Olise, Paulinho, Ito. I think all great signings. Then he got a few departures with De Ligt, Mazraoui, both to United. I think it's pretty good business for a Company there. Also, the teams they got were pretty easy. I mean, from pot 2 to pot 4, easy games, should be winning all of those. And then they also got Barca, which we know how Bayern is against Barca, but it is at Camp Nou, and it is a Barca ran by Hansi Flick, an ex-Bayern manager. Maybe not going to be so easy for Bayern there, but I still think it's enough to get them guaranteed qualification and get them into 6th place. Next up is Barcelona, in 5th place. Right now they're at the top of La Liga with 12 points and have scored 13 times in those 4 games, which is good. They're looking dangerous. Hansi Flick is showing that it's not the players' problems. It was just Xavi not knowing how to do tactics. They got Dani Olmo now, which is a great signing for them off of that Euros, giving some backup to Pedri, who literally looks like he's about to pass out any second. And they got rid of Gundogan, which I loved. I love that transfer. And their draws, they're looking fairly easy, other than the pot 1 teams and Atalanta, but it is at home, so they should be winning that one. overall, I think Flick can push this team towards the top, and I have them in 5th place. Next up is Atletico Madrid, who are sitting in 3rd place with 2 wins and 2 draws. Not really what I expected of them. I thought they were going to pop off at the beginning or throughout the whole season. Simeone made a lot of moves in the transfer window, bringing in Alvarez, Sorloth, Lenormand, Gallagher, getting rid of Felix, Hermoso, Morata. A lot of transfers in and out. But the transfers in haven't really been performing like we expected them to. But I have faith in him that he's going to turn around, especially in the Champions League, which he loves that competition. Their pot 3 and pot 4 teams are fairly easy, should be winning those. Benfica and Leipzig, another 2 games that they could get 3 points in. And their only 2 real difficult teams are Paris and Leverkusen. And with that, I feel like they can edge towards the top of the league, especially if Simeone can get these players to start performing, especially Alvarez, who needs to get his first goal. Now we're at the top 3. I think these 3 teams that I haven't mentioned are all going to be ending up like around the same points. The only thing that's going to be separating them is goal differences. And in 3rd place, I have Liverpool. So Liverpool right now are looking pretty good under Arne Slot. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they are still beating teams. And once they do get perfect and lock down what they want to do, I think they could be a threat towards winning the whole thing. I feel like Liverpool is going to be winning all their games except that one game against Madrid, which I see them drawing. That's the only points I see them losing, and just because of that, I feel like Madrid or Real Madrid is going to be right next to them in 2nd place. Also winning all the rest of the games and just drawing that one game at Anfield. We don't really need to talk about Madrid. They have a Galacticos 2.0. Mbappe's now in the team, Endrick's in the team. It's just stacked everywhere. So I think they'll be in 2nd, and then in 1st place it'll be Manchester City, which I think their only difficult game is going to actually be against Paris away. I think Inter at home, I think they'll be able to win, get the 3 points, and then Paris is going to be that team that's going to surprise them and take 2 points away from them, ending up in 22 points for all 3 teams. And the only reason I have City higher than the other 2 is because of goal difference, like I said. And I think we're going to demolish Sparta Prague and AS Bratislava. And that's the only reason we're going to be at the top of the league. Anyways, that's the long predictions. I don't know how long the video is, but that was so long for me. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment of what you think. If you think I'm biased. Yeah, thank you for watching.